And welcome back, everyone, to Who Would Win? Today's Who Would Win comes from Jim Abidian, I believe that's the name, who asked the question, who will win the fight? Szayelaporro Granz, the 8th spotter from Bleach, versus Sage Kabuto from Naruto. So, on the whole, the Bleach verse is the stronger verse. Now, you can argue with that maybe you want, but generally speaking, you're dealing with individuals who work on levels of power that, even at the minimum, are building the city block to even city levels of power to usher going into the levels of power of like planar dimensional planetary levels of power, whereas that power is relatively rare in Naruto. It's not non-existent. There are planetary level individuals in Naruto, obviously, but Kabuto, for example, doesn't really fall into that category. That said, Szayelaporro, he's the 8th Espada for a reason. The Espada, if you don't know, they are a group of individuals whose power ranking is from 10 to 1. Technically, it's 9 to 0, but that was a decision that a lot of people don't quite agree with, and me included, to be honest, because it kind of devalues the whole idea of having a 1 to begin with. But yeah, so that means Szayelaporro is technically is the third weakest in his group, but even as the third weakest, he's very powerful. And Kabuto is no slouch either. With Sage Mode, he has basically all that nature chakra in him. He's got the ability to sense the surroundings as he did. He also has added the DNA of Karin, Jugo, Suigetsu. He can turn his body to liquid. Kimimaru, which means he has bone release, and Orochimaru, which means he has technically all the abilities Orochimaru had, including an enhanced regenerative healing factor, most of the jutsu he had under his belt. And then you add the Sage Mode, Snake/Dragon Sage Mode, and you now have an individual who has all of that, plus the ability to literally impart natural chakra into non-organic, non-living beings, and pretty much give them autonomy, not autonomy, but like life. You can literally liquefy his surroundings because he's actually manipulating the environment with Sage chakra. It's really nuts. Not only that, you are adding on Sage Mode onto all of his already established abilities. And he has an ability. Oh, what's the name of that technique? Hold on. I'm finding the name out of that technique because it was really, really cool. Sage Kabuto. Hold on one second here. Kabuto Yakushi. The ability was. Let's find out, folks. And he also. Oh, that's right. He also has Kitamaru's spider webbing ability as well. He can travel through the ground. Summoning. Come on. Oh, come on. Don't freeze up on me now. These sites are always so difficult. What was the name of the technique? White snake, natural energy, using it to inanimate objects, giving them life. Like I said, what was the name of that technique though? Where's the damn ninjutsu? It's medical ninjutsu. I don't need medical ninjutsu. Anyway, long story short, it's like he summons an orb, a chakra dragon. Hold on, is that the ability I'm looking for here? Now, you know what? I'm just going to go find the list of techniques and suss it out from there. All right. Let's see here. Where is it? Sage transfer, Sage Mode, Sage Art. White Rage technique. That was the name of the technique. So with the White Rage, and this is arguably he's also got summoning for snakes as well. Plus water release from thanks to Suigetsu, Earth release. He's technically got all the releases in there. But okay. The Sage Art White Rage technique is a senjutsu used by those who study in Ryuchi Cave and mastered by Sage transformation. After informing the necessary hand signs, forming. Well, I think I said informing. The user expels a dragon-like entity from their mouth that carries an orb in its left right claw. As the dragon tightly coils itself around the orb, it releases both blinding light and deafening sound, making the air. Oh God, what's the name of it? What's this? Oscillate. This alone greatly hinders those in the vicinity, but due to the intensity of the surrounding vibrations, paralyzing pain is also induced, and thus the technique is both briefly inhibiting the opponents as well as techniques that require the activity of concentration. And Kabuto, though, because he's able to liquefy his insides, can negate the effects of the harsh sounds, and has basically specialized lenses in his eyes, like almost like snake scales, translucent lenses, that prevent him from being blinded. So he can function in this. And that's kind of insane. So Szayelaporro, even in just his base form, this is not his base form, obviously. This is his resurrection. This is his release of his power. And he's not really all that skilled of a fighter. He's more of a Machiavellian schemer. He certainly is dangerous, and he certainly has the ability to release the Sero, which is a concentrated beam of light energy, spiritual energy. He definitely has a sword, but he's probably apparently he's only really be passable with it. Really, he does have pretty enhanced durability with his Haru, as he took a massive explosion, but then quickly recovered after eating one of his minions to regain his power. He's, though, not a frontline fighter. He is the Mayuri of the group, if you know Bleach. The guy who tries to plan everything along those lines. But when he releases his Zanpakuto, and basically just swallows, just goes, ha, and just swallows, turns into this. That's where his real powers come in. He still has the Grand Ray Sero, which is mixing his blood with the Sero and, firing a giant blast of energy. But his abilities come from his body at this point. So he releases a liquid. Anything the liquid touches, he's able to basically make a duplicate of, with some mild differences that he can change, but it's a duplicate of it. He's able to catch you in his, they're these dripping, I don't even know what you'd call them, sacks, let's call it, that look like dripping blood, and if he catches you in them, he can make a little voodoo doll of you, that he takes it out, it pulls out his little thing that says the organ, crushes the organ, and he can damage that organ, and just crush it to the umpteenth degree. He is also capable of possessing things that consume him. If he was eaten by Mayuri's Bankai, and actually possessed the nerves. And he can reform within the womb of a victim if he need be. So he's extremely dangerous. Now, on a straight up power level, chakra to Ryatsu, I would still go with Szayelaporro on this. He definitely has the better energy because he's still a captain level threat, and the captain level threats are at minimum country to planetary level threats usually, even in the low end of the scale. If they wanted to go all out. So he's at least higher in power than Kabuto, but power isn't everything. In terms of strategy, in terms of what they're capable of, I'd actually say Kabuto is the better strategist because he is still a ninja with ninja training. Szayelaporro is a strategist, but he's kind of someone who just creates the scenario. Like when he fought the characters of Renji and Uryu, he had already analyzed their techniques and power. And so he had lured them in a place where he was basically countering their abilities. That's what happened there. I don't see that happening. He's not going to be able to analyze Kabuto in this fight. So in a strict strategic analytic sense, Kabuto's got the edge there. It comes down to their actual overall abilities. If Szayelaporro gets any of the ink on Kabuto, he's going to be able to create multiple copies of Kabuto with allegedly the same abilities as Kabuto. And so that would be quite interesting. Now, the problem is they wouldn't have Kabuto's actual mentality. They would still just be mindless drones being operated by Szayelaporro. So whatever they do still has to be at the behest of Szayelaporro. And I think Kabuto, while being a little bit more put on the back, definitely being put on the back foot, there's no little about it, especially with guys who have the same abilities, would still be able to avoid Kabuto. Kabuto, though, using the White Rage technique, Szayelaporro does not, I think, have a good answer to that. That is a technique that he does not have an answer for, I think. That would definitely seize him up, paralyze him, all that, at least temporarily. The problem on Kabuto's side, though, is that unless he's going to try to pierce his heart with some bone or something like that, and even then, he's still got to get through his iron skin, which is the Yaru, I don't necessarily think Kabuto has a kill move to get rid of Szayelaporro. The White Dragon Rage is still very powerful. The White Rage technique is still very powerful and a dangerous technique, but it's not a kill move. Likewise, even though he has Earth, Water, Wind, Yin, and Yang release, and can even infuse the environment, making it kind of bend it to his will a little bit, Chakra Scalpels, he still has those, which could be detrimental, but only to a certain degree. Snakes, it's just Kabuto's biggest problem here is that I think his only real actual kill move in all real in all real honesty, it would be bone release, because that is at least a piercing technique. The water release, water dragon boat, water bullets, great waterfall technique are all more hindrances than lethal, at least to someone like a Hollow, a Rankar, or a Shinigami, because they're not human at that point. They're not suffering from the same limitations a human does. And so those techniques are not techniques that I think would really be a problem for Szayelaporro to deal with. Then it all comes down to if he catches Kabuto. Eventually, I think he would catch Kabuto in one of those sacks. Kabuto might be able to get out of there, but if he tries to pop the sack, or he's kind of overwhelmed, at least temporarily, due to just not knowing what's going on and thinking that it's nothing, I can get out of here. But the damage will be done. A doll of Kabuto would still be made. And at that point, even if he can liquefy his body, it doesn't really matter. If his body's not constantly liquid, because then, Szayelaporro's like, oh, let's try this. Oh, there goes your Achilles. And Kabuto's legs just go out. What? Boom, boom. Even if he liquefies his insides, the organs still theoretically get destroyed. It's just now they're liquid and they can't be reformed. Theoretically. Although, I guess because his body would be liquid, it might be a workaround with that, assuming Kabuto figures that out. Now, the problem is, the only way for Kabuto to figure that out is to have a couple, of his organs and body parts damaged. And even Szayelaporro would be like, oh, turning your body to liquid, a fun little way to counteract it. But how long can you keep your body liquid? And better yet, so as he creates a Cero, I wonder if it can take being blasted by his Cero. And, he's just got like the organs in one hand, his Cero in the other hand. Kabuto's like, shit. He tries to blast. Kabuto gets out of the way as best he can, crushes another organ, or he crushes them all. And Kabuto's screwed. I think the just ultimate problem here is that Kabuto, in Naruto, Kabuto has plenty of kill moves because you're still dealing with humans on that ground. But you're not dealing with humans here. Their durability, their AP, their it would be what? Not attack. AP is attack potency. Defense potency, DP. But no, seriously, like his armor, I guess you could say, his durability, his power output is just at least a league above Kabuto and what he would be capable of dealing with, I think. Add on the fact that even though he doesn't have anywhere near as much variety as Kabuto, he still has techniques that kind of just are so that Kabuto isn't prepared. Kabuto doesn't have an answer to a Cero. He does not have an answer to that. And he doesn't really have an answer to having the little voodoo doll of him made, except for turning his body liquid. But the only way for him to have an answer to that and understand what that is to have a couple organs already damaged or body parts damaged. So it's a double-edged sword there. He could figure it out, but at what cost? And even still, it doesn't answer the question of how he actually successfully kills Szayelaporro. Again, the only thing he really has to legit kill him would be bone release. And it's not even really made clear how skilled a bone release he has. We just know he has it. So yeah, I would probably go Szayelaporro. I know I'm a bit a bigger Bleach fan than Naruto, but I do still argue in favor for Naruto when I think it makes sense. I just don't think here it really works in Kabuto's favor. But this is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.